Hey everyone, welcome back to Girlfriend Betrayal Diaries, where we dive into the raw, heartbreaking stories of love, trust, and the devastating sting of deception. Today's story is one that'll grip you from the start and leave you reeling by the end. This is a tale of a love that felt unbreakable, a betrayal that shattered everything, and a resolution that no one saw coming. So, grab a cozy blanket, maybe a tissue, and let's step into the mind of a man who thought he had it all until the truth tore his world apart. Here's my story. My name is Ethan, and for 8 years, I believed I was living the kind of love story people write songs about. My wife, Lauren, was my everything. My partner, my confidant, my home. We met in college, two awkward kids in a literature class, bonding over dog-eared copies of The Great Gatsby. She had this laugh, bright and unfiltered, that could light up the gloomiest room. I fell hard, and she fell too. Or so I thought. Our early years were magic. We'd spend weekends hiking, dreaming about the future, planning a life together. I proposed to her on a cliffside at sunset, her eyes sparkling with tears as she said yes. We built a cozy house in the suburbs, a dog named Max, and a rhythm that felt like ours alone. I was a software engineer. She was a graphic designer, and together, we were unstoppable. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? She was my Lauren, the woman who'd seen me at my worst and loved me anyway. But love, I've learned, can blind you to the cracks forming beneath the surface. The first hint something was off came about 6 months ago, though I didn't see it for what it was at the time. Lauren started staying late at work. She'd always been passionate about her designs, so I didn't question it at first. "Big project," she'd say, her voice light, but her eyes avoiding mine. "The client's a nightmare." I'd nod, kiss her forehead, and tell her to take care of herself. I was proud of her hustle, even if it meant fewer evenings curled up on the couch together. Then there were the phone calls. She'd step out of the room to take them, her voice low, almost secretive. Once, I overheard her laugh, a soft, intimate sound I hadn't heard in months. When I asked who it was, she brushed it off. "Just a coworker, Ethan. Relax." Her tone was sharp, like I'd crossed a line by asking. That stung, but I let it go. Trust, right? That's what marriage is built on. The red flags kept piling up, small but persistent. She started dressing differently, new dresses, bolder makeup, a perfume I didn't recognize. She'd come home smelling faintly of cigarette smoke, even though she'd quit years ago. When I mentioned it, she laughed it off. Oh, probably just the bar we went to for team drinks. Team drinks she'd never mentioned before. I started noticing how she'd angle her phone away when she texted, how she'd clear her browser history on our shared laptop. Little things, but they gnawed at me. I tried to talk to her about it one night. We were in the kitchen, dishes piled in the sink, Max snoring at our feet. Lauren, is everything okay? You seem distant." My voice was steady, but my heart was pounding. She looked at me, her hazel eyes softening for a moment, and I thought maybe she'd open up. But then she sighed, a sound heavy with irritation. "Ethan, I'm just stressed, okay? Work's been a lot. Can you not make this about us?" Her words cut deeper than I expected. I nodded, swallowing the doubt, and went to bed alone that night. The suspicion grew like a weed, choking out the trust I'd clung to. I hated myself for it, but I started paying closer attention. I noticed how she'd light up when her phone buzzed, how she'd smile at messages she never shared with me. One evening, she left her phone on the counter while she showered. My hands shook as I picked it up. I'd never snooped before. It felt like a betrayal of who I was, but the weight of not knowing was crushing me. Her passcode was still our anniversary date. That small detail gave me a flicker of hope. I opened her messages. The name at the top was Chris, work. My stomach twisted as I scrolled. The texts were flirty, intimate, filled with inside jokes and promises to meet up. "Can't wait to see you tonight," one said, time-stamped from last week when she'd told me she was working late. Another, "You make it hard to focus, you know that?" My vision blurred, the words swimming on the screen. I put the phone down, my chest tight, and stumbled to the couch. Max nudged my hand, whining softly, but I couldn't move. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I needed proof. Something undeniable, because part of me still wanted to believe I was wrong. The next day, I did something I'm not proud of. I installed a tracking app on her phone, hidden in a system update. I told myself it was just to ease my mind, that I'd delete it once I knew the truth. But deep down, I already knew. The app showed her at a coffee shop one afternoon when she'd said she was at the office, then a bar, then an address I didn't recognize late at night. Each ping on the map was a dagger to my heart. I started cross-referencing her work excuses with the app's data. The lies stacked up, each one a fresh wound. I felt like a detective in my own marriage, and it made me sick. The breaking point came on a Friday night. Lauren said she had a client dinner and wouldn't be home until late. I nodded, kissed her cheek, and watched her leave, her new perfume lingering in the air. As soon as her car pulled away, I opened the tracking app. The dot moved to an upscale restaurant, downtown, then to a hotel. My hands trembled as I grabbed my keys. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I couldn't sit there, pretending everything was fine. The hotel lobby was sleek, all marble and dim lighting. I felt out of place in my jeans and hoodie, my heart hammering as I scanned the room. Then I saw her. Lauren, my Lauren, sitting at the bar with a man I didn't know. He was tall, polished, with a smile that screamed confidence. She was leaning into him, her hand on his arm, laughing in a way I hadn't seen in years. The sight hit me like a freight train. I stood there, frozen, as they clinked glasses, oblivious to the world collapsing around me. I could have walked away. I could have gone home, packed a bag, and left without a word. But something in me snapped. I walked over, my steps heavy, my voice low but steady. "Lauren!" Her head whipped around, and the color drained from her face. The man, Chris, I assumed looked confused, then wary. "Ethan?" She stammered, her voice high and brittle. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing." My words were calm, but inside I was screaming. The bar felt too small, the air too thick. People were starting to glance our way, sensing the tension. "Ethan, this isn't what it looks like," she said, her hands fluttering like she could wave the truth away. Chris shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between us. "Really?" I said, my voice rising despite myself. "Because it looks like you're here with him, when you told me you were at a client dinner. It looks like you've been lying to me for months." I pulled out my phone, the tracking app still open, and held it up. "I know where you've been, Lauren. I know about the coffee shops, the bars, the late nights. I know about it, him." Her eyes widened, a mix of fear and guilt flashing across her face. "You tracked me?" she whispered, like that was the real betrayal here. "You gave me no choice." I shot back. My voice cracked, and I hated how vulnerable it made me sound. "I trusted you. I loved you. And you..." I couldn't finish. The words caught in my throat, choked by the weight of her deception. Chris stood, holding up his hands like he was surrendering. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married. She never mentioned a husband." His voice was smooth, practiced, and it made my skin crawl. I didn't know if I believed him, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. Lauren was crying now, her mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Ethan, please, let's go home. We can talk about this. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" I laughed, a bitter hollow sound. Months of lies, Lauren. Months of sneaking around, of looking me in the eye and lying to my face. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. The confrontation drew a small crowd. Whispers rippling through the bar. I didn't care. Let them watch. Let them see what betrayal looks like up close. I gave you everything, I said, my voice low and raw. I built my life around you, and you threw it away for this. I gestured at Chris, who looked like he wanted to disappear. Ethan, I'm sorry, she sobbed, reaching for my hand. I pulled away, the touch burning like acid. I was unhappy. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me, I repeated incredulous. You destroyed me, Lauren. You took every promise we made and set it on fire. I turned to leave, my chest tight, my vision blurring. She called after me, her voice desperate, but I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I did, I'd break completely. The drive home was a blur. Max greeted me at the door, his tail wagging, oblivious to the storm inside me. I sank to the floor, his warm fur pressed against me, and let the tears come. I cried for the life I thought we had, for the love I'd poured into her, for the man I was before I knew the truth. I felt like a fool, but more than that, I felt empty. The next few days were a fog. Lauren tried calling, texting, even showing up at the house, but I couldn't face her. I stayed with my brother Mark, who listened as I poured out the whole, ugly story. You don't deserve this, Ethan, he said, his voice firm. But you need to decide what you're going to do. You can't let her keep you in limbo. He was right. I couldn't keep living in the wreckage of our marriage, so I started planning. I met with a lawyer, quietly filed for divorce, and began untangling our shared life. Bank accounts, bills, the house. It was clinical, mechanical, a way to keep the pain at bay. But I wasn't just going to walk away. Lauren had made her choice, and I was going to make mine. I found out more about Chris through a mutual friend. He was her co-worker, a senior designer with a reputation for charm and a trail of broken hearts. Lauren wasn't the first married woman he'd pursued, and I doubted she'd be the last. That knowledge fueled me. I wasn't just going to end our marriage, I was going to make sure they both felt the consequences. I reached out to Lauren's boss, anonymously, and shared evidence of her affair, including how she'd used company time and resources to meet Chris. I didn't do it out of spite, but because it was true, she'd crossed professional lines, and her actions had consequences. A week later, I heard she'd been put on probation at work. Chris too faced scrutiny, his golden boy status tarnished. But the real resolution came when I sold the house. It was our dream home, the place we'd planned to raise a family. But it felt tainted now, every corner stained with her lies. I didn't tell Lauren until the deal was done. When she found out, she showed up at Mark's place, furious and tearful. How could you do this, Ethan? That was our home. It stopped being a home the moment you chose someone else, I said, my voice steady. You don't get to play the victim here. You made your bed, Lauren. Now lie in it. She left, defeated, and I felt a strange mix of relief and sorrow. The divorce went through quickly. She didn't fight it, maybe because she knew she'd lost any claim to my heart. I used my share of the house sale to start over, moving to a new city, taking a new job. Max came with me, my loyal companion through it all. Here's the twist, though the part no one saw coming. A few months after the divorce, I got an email from Chris. He apologized, said he'd been blindsided by Lauren's lies, that she'd told him we were separated. He was reaching out, he said, because he'd ended things with her after learning the truth. I didn't respond, but it planted a seed. Lauren hadn't just betrayed me, she'd manipulated everyone around her, spinning a web of lies that eventually collapsed. I don't hate her anymore. Hate takes too much energy, and I'm done giving her pieces of me. I'm rebuilding, piece by piece. Finding joy in small things, a sunrise run with Max. A new project at work. A quiet evening with a book. I'm not the man I was before, but I'm not broken either. I'm stronger, wiser, and I know my worth. To anyone listening who's been betrayed, who's felt the ground give way beneath them, I want you to know this. You are enough. You are not defined by someone else's choices. And when the time comes, you'll find the strength to end what needs to end and start again. That's it for today's story. What did you think of Ethan's journey? Did he handle the betrayal the right way? Or would you have done something different? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a story from Girlfriend Betrayal Diaries. If you've got a betrayal story you want to share, send it our way. You might hear it on the channel. Until next time, stay true to yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.